Hey guys, welcome to our first official podcast, the first of the series, our welcome message. Our podcast series is Thriving, Not. I'm Kat.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we're just going to give an intro on kind of what the podcast is going to be and a little bit of history about ourselves. Most of you guys already know us already, or you wouldn't be on Facebook Live with us, right?
Right.
We've been really blessed to have John with Flagler Weekly here. He's running our podcasts. They're the best in the area, so make sure you follow them. Give them the shout, Flagler Weekly. So our podcast is Thriving, Not Surviving. So currently I'm 41. Thank God we made it this far, right? Because born in the 80s, I feel like we did a lot of things that right now would be considered very taboo and
Right.
dangerous. And like, we never want our kids to do those things because like we barely survived. But with that, it gave us a lot of experience. It gave us a lot of foundational information about ourselves and what we should do, what we shouldn't do, where we want to see ourselves in lives. And honestly, it was for myself and for Hannah, which you'll learn shortly, is our life was a survival. It was 100% fight or flight, survival mode. We might as well have been on Hunger Games at this point because that's where life started. And
That's what it felt like too.
you know, I haven't watched the last series of Hunger Games. I don't know what happened or who died in the end,
No.
but we made it. So if there was a contest about that, we won.
Yes, we did.
Because just sitting here right now is, you know, we've made it. We won too. So let me give you a little insight on me. So most of us have had interesting childhoods, you know, being raised. Myself in particular, I've had a very rough childhood. Between drug abuse and alcoholism and mental and physical abuse, it's been very traumatizing, and not being able to have someone to help you process that, or not even knowing how to process that, was real eye opening when I turned 18 years old. I have an amazing sister, and her and I kind of went through it together, and you know, kind of just helped raise her and guide her since I was the older child. And with that, I think that's what kind of developed my personality of being that giver to a fault, right? I hear that quite often, is that, you know, you don't know how to not give yourself. You don't know how to not people because that's what you've done your whole life, you know?
Right.
Since I was 6 years old, it's raising my sister or raising myself. And it was a real struggle, you know, and it was a real struggle because I didn't know any different. You know, I didn't know what love was, because in my opinion, perhaps I was loved, but I didn't feel loved, right?
Right.
And so you kind of just go through life as, is this how life is supposed to be? Like, this is hard. Like, this is not fun, you know? Had a wonderful grandmother on my dad's side that she was my best friend. She passed away a few years back, but it was those travels with her that gave us the excitement of, okay, there's something we can do. We can go to Disney.
Yes,
You
something
know?
to look forward to.
Yeah, we can, you know, we travel, we do all this fun stuff. So there's more to life than just the poverty that we lived in. And, you know, when we were younger, we lived in the projects. And I'm not saying like Southside Chicago. I'm talking about, you know, Flagler County. But still, it was devastating to a fault because there weren't those opportunities. And, you know, when my dad got custody of us, I was 13 years old. And then it turned into a different type of survival mode, from living with my mom, who struggled with abuse from my dad and her family, and drug use, to my dad being the abuser of my mom and all his wives. It turned into a different dynamic. It turned into, at 13 years old now, I am the controller of the house. I am the person who has to, you know, make sure dishes are done, laundry is done. Like, you know, you get straight A's in school. You don't do things that you're not supposed to do. You don't really have friends. You don't go anywhere. You're not allowed to go anywhere. It was kind of like a prisoner situation. Honestly, like a Hunger Games situation, but you're locked in a cage. That's kind of what it felt like. So, you know, going through high school, it was like, what is your identity? You just keep going, trying to pacify and appease everyone because you want friends, because, you're looking for that love that you never received as a child. So you're trying to look for outside sources, but in reality, the case is that I didn't love myself because I didn't know how, because I didn't like myself. Once you turn 18, now it's like, oh my God, I'm an adult. Like, I'm out of here. Like, sign the papers, let me get the hell out. When you turn 18, it's like, once you lived in a caged situation for so long, now it's, I'm free. And so what do cage birds do? They fall out of the cage.
They fall out too. They don't fly out. They're going to fall out.
And they hit the ground, right?
Right.
And so I went through a lot of periods in my times where I had super lows, and I asked God, like, why? Like, why is all this horrible stuff happening to me? Now, being raised Catholic, we've always believed in God, and, He is my absolute. I pray to Him every day, and I thank God for everything I've been through. But, when I'm 18 years old, it's like, is there somebody there? Like,
right.
Why is the devil like attacking me? Like,
right.
What has happened? What did I do so wrong in my life? I've been through all this trauma my whole life, and now it's like my life is 100 times worse. Had my son when I was 20 years old, and basically at that point became a single parent. And I wasn't expecting to be a parent. I was expecting to be in the Air Force and actually go through the JAG program to be an attorney. And so now I have this baby that I don't know how to raise by myself. It was a nightmare. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, was raising a male child. And that will be for another podcast. That's going to be down the road.
That's a whole other topic.
About single parents should not be
Yes.
single parents. I mean, you need two parents in the household, but
you need a village at least.
You need a lot. You need a grandparent, an aunt,
Yes.
uncle who can, like, put the smack down. Yeah, it was a lot. But just, with raising him, and I made so many mistakes because, like I said, I didn't know how to be a parent, and a single parent at that. And so there was, 2 and 3 jobs involved. There was a point in time where we were homeless. And so I would put my son in a 24-hour daycare and sleep in the car and work 3 jobs, first, second, third shift, just to kind of get it figured out. So there's been a lot of things in my lifetime that has really, I think, formed the person I am today. And it's still, at 20, 30 years old, I still didn't understand why my life was so horrible. And it was because I was creating that, because I didn't love myself. I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to communicate. I kept that all in because, honestly, it's like, you complain.
Right.
Nobody cares what kids say. You're supposed to be seen and not heard. I don't know how many other kids our age were raised like that. I know probably our age. Our age, I know, where there's a 10 years difference, but those are things you just didn't do. You didn't express feelings. There was no counseling sessions. There was no therapy. There was no of these different advanced techniques that, and they're really not advanced, but that people are doing now. But
they were advanced based on your resources.
Absolutely.
At that time, though.
Absolutely.
It's not that they were too advanced for the knowledge of the world, but too advanced for what you had
At that time.
accessible.
Absolutely. And so it wasn't really until, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago where I was like, okay, I got to do something here, because I was so sick. I was sick for probably about 6 years and nobody could figure it out. So, 20, 21 doctors in, it's like, oh, you're depressed. You have fibromyalgia. I'm like, no, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that as an answer, because it's not the answer, because I feel like tomorrow I might die. And I was that sick. And so eventually I was able to find a holistic doctor out of Arkansas who did the appropriate testing, and, come to find out I've had Lyme disease since a child. But here in Florida, it's like, oh, there is no Lyme disease. And that's the biggest crock of shit any practitioner can tell you, because
Yeah.
I'm living proof of that. And so there was a lot of other things that happened, and a lot of injuries I sustained. And so, a few years ago, it's like I'm feeling sorry for myself. Like, what's the point? Like, God, like, take the wheel. Why am I here at this point? If I'm not meant to be here, go ahead and take me, because I felt like I was just floating around. I had no purpose. And I was in the restaurant industry for 15 years, and somehow I ended up in a PT clinic doing physical therapy. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is where I need to be. And so that transponded into me going to massage school and doing all this advanced education. And it's finally now, like the past couple years, where I'm like, get your shit together. Like internally, like get it together. Like, what are the deficits that's causing me to not be able to make a change, that I'm not able to have successful relationships, have a successful marriage, have successful friendships, or even have successful business ventures. And honestly, it's because my viewpoint on myself. I've always had body image issues. You know, as a child, I was always heavy. And that was, like Hannah was saying, the resources that were available to us. It was, you know, horrendous food. It was processed. It was sugar. It was garbage. Lots of dairy, lots of white bread, lots of, you know, bologna, cheese, mustard sandwiches on white bread. And, you know,
Beefaronis
who
in a
hears me
can.
on that one? You're born and raised in Florida.
Right.
Image, and I felt like I was never accepted. And so I didn't accept myself. I didn't like the way I looked. So I only assumed that nobody else would like the way I looked also.
Right.
And so I took so many different measures on how to change my appearance, but it wasn't until I changed my mindset on exactly figuring out who I am, what my purpose is, what God's plan is for me, that things really started to change. And so now I'm on this journey, this fitness and wellness journey. And it's not only for physical. Like, it's great to look great naked. I mean, everybody wants to look great undressed, but that's not what it's about. It's about your viewpoint on yourself. And it's about learning how to love yourself and put yourself first and no longer be giving to a fault like I've been my entire life. It's learning how to say no, and it's learning how to set boundaries. And I never in my life had boundaries until the past couple years because I didn't know how to set them. Because in reality, I didn't want to lose friends. You know, I didn't want people to not like me.
Right.
At this point, I don't give a shit if people don't like me, honestly, because it's not about being liked. It's about respect. And if I don't respect myself and I can't show people that I respect myself through the way I eat, through the way I train, through the way I speak, through the way I help others, then what is really the point, you know? So that's just a little insight about us. And through all of that, through my 41 years on this planet, it has really made me empathetic. You know, so many people say, oh, you know, I have sympathy because somebody's going through A, B, C, and D. I'm not sympathetic. I have empathy because I've experienced everything or anything that anybody could throw at you, I've experienced. And so therefore it's like, if I'm able to give them a little insight on how I responded to that and how now in the present life, I'm able to kind of deal with those consequences or those traumas, I think it's really going to change people's lives. So that's kind of why I'm here. You know, we're here to kind of give you our experience. We're not here to tell you need to meditate 4 times a day and go take a Epsom salt bath. Like, that's not why we're here. We're here to kind of
Even though that might help a little bit.
that might.
It might help like a small amount at least.
It could. Get some oils in that bathtub.
Yes.
But so we're here to kind of give our story and to kind of talk about those topics that are like not spoken about, right? So in relationships, you have issues in relationships. A lot of it comes from communication because people don't know how to communicate. There are no coping skills, you know, especially, you know, I'll revert this back to COVID when everybody got pulled inside and kids got taken away from social activity. People lost coping skills. They didn't have them to begin with, and now they damn sure don't have coping skills.
Oh, absolutely.
So when it comes to emotional traumas, emotional imbalances, people don't know how to deal. And so I think that with our insight on different topics, like I said, relationships, communication, men versus women, there's a huge difference between men and women and the way they think.
Yes.
If you haven't read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, you really need to read that book because the thought process is different. And I think that's where a lot of problems come in with marriages and relationships, is because women don't understand why men think the way they do and vice versa. So if we can give you a little handle on our experience with that. We're also going to talk about body image and body dysmorphia and eating disorders, positive mindset, discipline versus motivation, inspiration. So anything and everything that we're going to talk about, we're going to be real life. It's not going to be sugar coated. It's not going to be, you know, wrapped in plastic with a bow on it. People need to hear the real story. And sometimes there's someone struggling with something and they're afraid. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to upset their partner, or they don't want to, you know, rock the boat. But they don't know how to cope with it either. So if we can give some insight on coping mechanisms and how we dealt with it and how we're going forward, I think it's going to be very prosperous for everyone. And we're asking you to shoot some comments down below. Tell us what you want us, to discuss. Is there a topic that's really bothering you? Is there anything that you deem that's important in your life, or that somebody's struggling with? Throw it on there, and we will definitely do a whole podcast series on it, because like I said, we're just two regular people that have been through the gamut. We have ran through it. We fell. We got dirty. Got the t-shirt. T-shirt got torn off, and now we're here. So
Now we're here. The t-shirt got torn off, thrown away.
Totally ripped off. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll go ahead and give it over to Hannah so she can tell you a little about her.
Okay, so first of all, you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing.
No.
A lot of people know that Kat is my aunt, but she's also one of my best friends, and she has absolutely been through it, and she has expressed to you guys some very important points that I think everybody can relate to, in the way of like body positivity and image, and how that changes as you grow, and self-love being what is the center of all of that, and being a people pleaser because of things that you went through as a child. I mean, I'm a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed at 14, and a lot of things change in your outlook at that time. You go from being active and fit, and hold on a second. I wasn't always very fit. Okay. Hold on a second. I didn't play sports or anything, but I was very active, and
You were climbing trees in a tree stand somewhere.
Yes. I was hunting. I was an absolute boy. So, you go from not having any limitations, really, to, like you said, being put in a cage. I was diagnosed, and I went to the hospital, and I didn't leave for the longest time. I've had like 13 surgeries and chemo and radiation, and just the things that you deal with at that time. And then the body image that you develop. I mean, the scars on my body, and the constant being told, like, you can't do that. You'll never run again. You'll never jump again. You might not ever walk. You might lose your leg. Like, the things that you're faced with at that point, and then having to just pick the brighter side of it every single time just to get through the day.
It's exhausting.
It is absolutely exhausting. Mm-hmm. And then also, you're 14, you drop out of school, you don't have friends. I had one friend, and over years that ended up even falling apart, and we don't even talk anymore. It's like, but in that same idea, as you were saying, like, you want to be a people pleaser because you want people to like you. I'm going through it. I'm bald. I'm 90 pounds. I'm 200 pounds. I have hair. I don't have hair. I got scars. I got another surgery next week. You know what I mean? It's like, you want people to like you. You want people to know who you are, but you don't like yourself.
Right.
And so it takes a lot, and it takes a village. Like you were saying, you raised Adrian by yourself, and you didn't have resources. I had resources going through this to motivate me. I had you, I had my family, and everybody's very close to me in that way. And then I had a lot of other resources just because of what I went through, but it still is an everyday battle. And even at this point, I'm like 7-8 years out, and every day it's another kind of challenge, because there's
Right.
things that go along with the things that my body has been through. So, like you said, we're going to go through body positivity and dysmorphia, and like how you view yourself versus how other people view you, and how you feel about yourself. And like you said, the whole fitness journey that we've both kind of embarked on is not, while yours is more extensive than mine, it's not about just looking good naked, because while that feels good when you look in the mirror, or if somebody else is looking at you, it feels good to know how you feel, but it's really, or to know how you look, but it's really how you feel about yourself.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we're going to talk about how to just kind of get through it, how to pick the positive side of it, and how to talk through it, and how to lean on people. We both come from a fight or flight type of response, whether it be from our childhood or what I went through with my health or even what you went through with your health. And you're constantly in that feeling of, when's the other shoe going to drop?
Right.
What do we do about it if it does drop? And then you lose sight of the perfect that's right in front of you
Right.
every time. So just kind of learning how to be grounded and present in the wonderful things that do come your way.
And, you know, like I told my students, the first day college starts, our classes is usually in end of August. And I always make them get up and introduce themselves and, you know, tell us where you're from and to tell one interesting fact about them. And I do that for two reasons. The first reason is because I'm horrible at names. I'm going to say that right now. Live on camera, I am horrible at names.
Me too.
If I touch you, I can tell you, oh, I know who you are because of your problem here. But,
Right.
you know, so if I have my hands on you, I know who you are. But, you know, names is a problem for me. So the interesting fact actually comes from, I'm going to take that person and I'm going to associate that fact. And so usually my students could tell you is I refer to them as that fact. So like currently I have a student who's a Jets fan. He gets a lot of riff for it. So I'm like, oh, Jets fan, until I start learning their names. But I make them uncomfortable because I usually tell them, all right, guys, you know, get up. Let's say these things. And I want to make you super uncomfortable because you're about to be, you know, naked in front of each other.
Right.
And so then they lose their mind because they're like, oh my God, I got to take off my clothes in front of all these people and I'm going to be naked. Not really. That's not how it works. But I want them to have that fear because it's going to prompt a real response.
Right.
I want to see what you're true, because the whole program, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Because to be honest, I love failure. And I know that's probably a crazy saying to say, and you're probably like, she has lost her ever-loving mind. But if you don't fail, you don't succeed. If you don't
Right.
fail, there's not a learning lesson. There's not an expectation to meet. There's nothing there. You just keep kind of putting along like in a 1950 Chevy, right? There's like, you haven't learned anything. You're just going with emotions and thinks everything's okay. And so if you're always succeeding, you're not going to grow. You're just going
Right.
to stay on that consistent complacency path. And that's not what we're meant to do. We're meant to grow.
No.
And so I want my students to fail at something because they're going to learn this didn't work. How do you troubleshoot? How do you get out of it? How do you fix it? How do I make myself successful? So I think failure is the biggest accomplishment in our lives. And so a lot of times people fail and they can't deal with it, you know, especially athletes and children, because they don't have the mentality of once you fail, you pick your butt up off the ground and you do it again. And if you fail again, get the hell up and do it again. You're going
Right.
to do it again to succeed. But every time that you fall and every time you fail, you learn something a little bit better, right? You learn something a little bit easier to do the next time to get through it. So we're just super excited. We're super excited to be here. It's going to be giggles and laughs, I'm sure,
Tons
throughout
of it.
this.
Maybe a little tears.
Yeah, maybe some tears.
Some
'cause
tears.
this is,
We're going to get into it pretty heavy.
This is it's real life, you know,
Yes.
and sometimes by us telling our story, we're trying to heal also, because there's a lot of things we haven't healed from.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's like we kind of just, as I want to say this, as women and, you know, business owners and medical professionals and parents, we kind of just put ourselves last because we're so worried about treating others and taking care of a household and just, you know, going through the daily motions. It's like, by the time our head hits the pillow at 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's like, oh, now it's time for me to do something for me. Well, shit, the day's gone.
The day's gone. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything for me. I just want to sleep. But then that alarm is dinging in the morning to do it all over
And
again.
at 4:45, it's like, Lord,
I haven't done
Jesus
that
save
in
me,
far
please.
too long. I have no intentions of making that alarm go off that early ever again.
now I have to have an alarm plus 5 or 6 snoozes, you know, like 2 minutes apart.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to be easy to hit that snooze at 4:45. The alarm be like, 5 more minutes. And
5 more
Now we
minutes.
got 20.
Mine's like auto set on 9 minutes, and I might snooze it like 5 times, and then I'm like, okay, I need to rush
to get
now.
up.
I gotta go.
Time to get up.
I'm already late. I was late before it went off.
So that's Hannah's MO, okay? She's late
Yes.
before she's supposed to be somewhere. She's already late.
But I'm not. I'm punctual. I'm on time. I make it.
But this is this is going to be us. You know, we're real. We're 100% going to be our true, authentic selves. And I think that's what's wrong with the world is nobody's authentic anymore. They want to be like the Instagram model with the huge butt and the tight leggings and the you know, the beautiful makeup and the perfect image. And this is what we got. So this is what you got.
This is what we're
You don't like it, turn it off.
Oh goodness.
But I think by us being authentic, I think it's really going to touch a lot of people. And I think you're going to get to really help find yourselves as well.
Yes.
So, like I said, our podcast is called Thriving, Not Surviving, because we're no longer survivors, right? We're not victims. We're never victims. We just kind of thought that, you know, that's what you say you are when things are going, when shit is hitting the fan. But we're thriving, right? Surviving is like, you need a few things to survive. You need shelter, you need water, you need electric, clothing, food. That's survival.
Right.
And so to have to live in that realm of, I don't have one of these 5 things. I don't have food. I don't have shelter. I don't have water, electricity, clothing. So that's survival mode. We're not doing that shit no more. Like, that is over and done with. Now we are thriving. You know, we're prospering. We're looking to the future. We don't live in the past anymore. Even though the past does come back to haunt us. And, you know, there's memories there. And there's, you know, there's days that you're upset. And there's many days I can't get out of my own head. And I'm kind of withdrawn and introverted. Usually not too much at work. It's usually in my own personal time. Especially at the gym. I don't like to talk at the gym just because I'm in my own head. You know, it's the one place where I'm not being told what to do. I am, but not somebody in, or if I'm swimming, that's the one place that's I have peace. I'm not being told what to do. Like, my whole life is scheduled.
Right.
Like, I used to, in my 20s, okay, guys, everybody else in their early, like late teens, probably even now, these kids are freaking going out 15, 16 years old. It's disgusting. But so even 18, 19, 21 years old, like even up to 30, it's like, okay, we're going to the club, right? We leave the house at 7 o'clock. We go hit the after party. It's like 3 a.m. Got to open the restaurant at 6 a.m. So you go home, take a shower, you grab some Waffle House on the way, and you go to work, right? There ain't no well in God's green earth I'd be doing that now. I wouldn't make it.
No.
I mean, there have been a few nights that I had overnighted because I had to take the dog to the emergency vet. I mean, I wasn't having fun, but I had no choice. And so it's not like a excitement type situation.
That's hilarious, though. I could never imagine you being in the clubs and then Waffle House smothered and covered on the way and then go to work.
Pecan waffle.
Pecan waffle.
The whole way, smothered covered. We're all acting full.
Okay,
our friend Anna's probably serenading the restaurant.
I only eat 1 beef patty and maybe like 2 sweet potato fries, and I'm good.
Yeah, no more Waffle House. But my whole life is scheduled, you know. And so when you own a business, it's one of those things where if you're a good business owner, you have a regiment, right? You have to be disciplined in your own life. So if you were to pull my Google Calendar, not only are all my patient appointments on there, but all my personal appointments are on there. My life's on there because I need to know what the hell time it is. I need to, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, what day is it?
Right.
Because I have no concept of days or times anymore because it's like I have to rely on a schedule to know where the hell I'm at. And that's the whole day. You know, that's usually, I don't put on there, I got to sleep from A to B. But so there are a couple opportunities throughout the day or the week where it's like, I'm not being told what to do, how to do it, what to eat, how to eat, at what time, where to be. And it's like, those are the small moments that you have to cherish because that's all I got.
Right. But while those are the small moments you have to cherish, do you ever think about how the fact that you took over and made your life be scheduled like that brought?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've gone through periods of time where nothing's scheduled. You're just flying by the seat of your pants. You have no idea what's going on, where you're going, what you're eating, who you're talking to. And then I've gone through periods of time where don't even look at me if I don't have my planner in my hand. And I'm going to handwrite it all down because one day my phone's going to die and I'm not going to know what I'm doing. So it's not going to be virtual. It's got to be handwritten.
It's not on paper schedule.
Yes. And I'm still like that to some extent. I'm a little bit more fly by the seat of my pants these days. I don't meal prep as strict as I should anymore. I'm definitely not letting that alarm go off at 4:45 in the morning to make it to the gym, but I have, weights at my house and I fit it in where I can, but it's definitely the secret to success is kind of mapping it out and scheduling and then holding yourself accountable to that schedule. Like
Right.
you have to do it in order to get ahead. And then once you get ahead, it's easier to be present in those moments that you, not for nothing, have to schedule in.
Absolutely. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do you run 80 hours a week and work out and meal prep and take care of the household? Well,
Caffeine.
right. Because it ain't drugs and alcohol. Okay. We ain't having no fun over here, guys. Well, honestly, I've been doing it. I've been running at a high level like this since 2017.
Right.
6-7 days a week, nonstop. And, there was a point in time where my body was breaking down and I was losing it. And, that's part of the time where I got really sick. But now I work 6 days a week. And then, day number 7, Sunday is, that's my favorite training day because I get to spend a little bit more time in the gym because I'm pathetic because I have no life.
And then you also meal prep for yourself.
But it's like, meal
bunch of
prepping
people
and grocery store and laundry and
so
clean
it's
the
not
house.
like you get a rest day.
But so here's
You
the
get
deal.
a prep day.
In my calendar, every month
In the
on my
calendar.
schedule, there is something to look forward to. Okay. There's some sort of goal. Like even with training, I was just talking to my trainer, Shauna. She's amazing. And I'm like, what's after the show? My show's November 11th. If you guys want to come out and support, it's in Orange City, DeLand.
I thought it was in Port Orange.
No, Orange City. Orange
Okay.
City, DeLand.
All right.
And so she says, okay, what's the plan after the show? And I'm like, well, I don't know. But I do know, what I do know is we have to have a plan. Because knowing my personality, I'm not the type of person who could just continue to eat the way I'm eating and continue to work out the way I'm working out and not have a goal. Like,
Right.
where's the end goal for this set of space in my life? Because otherwise, complacency, like I said, is a problem for me. And it's the same thing in my personal life. Once a month I schedule something, whether it's I'm in South Florida, or if I'm like at the end of the month, I'm going to Rhode Island to a speaker school, or in November I'm doing this, or December I'm doing that. I try and even block out a couple days or a long extended weekend just to say, this is something to look forward to. It's outside of my routine. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get to do something that I want to do on my time. Even though it's small and it's not like, oh man, I get a 3-day weekend every weekend, or oh man, I get to, go out and do this on Saturday. As long as I have something to look forward to, it kind of gives you hope. And I know that's kind of like pathetic, but hope is all we have. You know what I mean? And hope and prayer is really, that's, what is the song? Living on a Prayer. Is that Bon Jovi?
Bon Jovi.
Okay.
That's where we're going.
Every day of my life, I'm living on a prayer, and there's some hope sprinkled in there like salt. But it's kind of how I get through it. We both have a lot of stress. Everybody has a lot of stress in their life. There's so much
Absolutely.
crap going on in the world between everything that's going on, but you got to have to manage it somehow.
And you got to learn to kind of like pick your stress too.
You got to pick your battles.
I'm terrible. I live under an absolute rock. When I tell you I have no idea what's going on in the world, I don't know what's going on in the world. That whole idea of everything that's going on in the world stresses me out. It's not stressing me out because I don't know what's going on. And I know that's terrible. I should be more current in the world, but I'm not. Because you have to kind of pick your stresses a little bit too.
Right.
If I'm going to stress about all these other things that are within my direct control, then I don't have room for all that out
Right.
there,
Absolutely. You got to
So,
pick and choose your stress.
You
for
need
sure.
to pick and choose a little bit. But like you said, giving something to look forward to, I'm a huge advocate for that. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's a bath at the end of the day. Like, that's your thing. That's the way that you unwind. And you want to put Epsom salt and clay and whatever God knows you want to put in the bathtub with you. And just be still. If that's what you have to look forward to, then eat it up when you
Right.
have the opportunity to. Or like you said, scheduling something that's just for you, even though it cracks me up that it's not just relaxing for you. You're going to a speaker's class in Rhode Island. So there's nothing going to be relaxing about that entire event for you.
Let me tell you why it's not relaxing. And so one of my really great friends, Don, he lives in South Florida. He's an amazing trainer and therapist. And he's like, you need to go to the speaker school. And I'm like, no way in hell.
No.
No, no way. First of all, where's it at? Okay, Rhode Island. Is it cold? Is it cold there? Like, do I need a snowsuit?
Of course it's cold.
He probably thought I was nuts. And so it's one of these schools where it really prepares you for public speaking in a large realm. And so it's going to be very critical. I guess that would be the verbiage I would use. And so they want to kind of pick you apart and break you down to make sure they can build you back up to get you to the status where you need to be, right?
Sounds like military.
Okay, well, that was number one, the scary part. That was like, oh man, I'm about to get criticized. And it's not because I'm scared to get criticized, because I'm going to start laughing, because I'm uncomfortable, and now I started laughing.
Oh yeah, I get the nervous giggles too.
And so it's not
Really
like I'm
bad.
trying to be disrespectful, but I'm like, how am I going to control that? But I'm just not. I'm just going to let it roll. I'm really hoping that I'm one of the only female in there, so it's like I can just maybe get a pass on being
Yeah, right.
out of
Being
my
silly.
mind. But the real problem was the traveling. You know, I get motion sickness, so I was like, okay, this is going to be a shit show. And then renting a car. I don't know who else has ever used Turo or Turo. So I'm renting a car through Turo for the first time, and I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this is okay. I don't get like stolen or kidnapped. They probably bring me back. I can't offer to cook, but
Listen,
they're gonna have to
swear,
bring me back. I got shit to do.
we are absolutely the same in that aspect. Like, I'm not going to a speaker's class out of state, because what if I do get kidnapped?
Right.
Like, what? I don't want to rent a car. I don't want
Right.
to do that. I just don't want to deal with that.
I don't know. And then being a single female and like traveling by yourself, and then being
It's
out
weird.
of state. And for those of you who know me, you know, I carry a concealed. Hannah carries a concealed because,
Absolutely.
you know, being women and being in, it's very opportunistic for others to take advantage, you know. And so being out of state, that's not even an option. So the whole time I'm kind of thinking about safety precautions. And then you got to stay in a hotel. Okay, great. Hotels are fine. However, what are you going to do about food? So nothing else was a problem really, but the damn food.
Oh yeah, the food is huge.
I was stressing out. I'm like, okay, I have to eat 6 meals a day, and I have to eat exactly this. It has to be weighed up. If I put a scale in my luggage, they're gonna cut that open.
Right.
And they're gonna be like, she's carrying drugs, and I'm like, please don't cut my food. And then it's like, okay, how am I gonna get my food up there? Do I
Right.
have to do this massive meal prep? Do I check a cooler? Are they gonna let me check a cooler? Is it gonna be frozen? Is it gonna defrost? Holy crap. I was going back and forth. I'm like, okay, I can't go because I'm not going to have
Can't
no
even
food.
go.
Like, I can't eat beef jerky and bananas for 6 days. Like, that ain't going to
not?
work out. That ain't going to work out. My trainer will kill me. And so I contacted a restaurant up there, and they're actually going to cook for me. I'm going to buy a scale up there. I'm going to pack whatever I kind of need to pack in my suitcase. But that was stressful.
That's dedication.
It is.
I don't know
And
that
so-
I have that. I
don't know
I do.
either.
Everybody has that. Like, you have it inside of you. You have to know what you want in order to find that level of dedication. And you know that this is what you want. You've gone through great lengths to be at the point that you're at now. But I would be so overwhelmed that I wouldn't have thought, like, let me call a restaurant and see if they're going to cook for me. What? I'd have never thought my way around that problem. I'd have been overwhelmed calling my mom, talking about, Mama, talk me through it. Because I don't know how to do it myself. Like,
Right.
what in the world?
Because I was going to get an Airbnb, but you know, it's like, okay, if I'm going to get off the airplane, now I got to find a grocery store, and now I'm going
Right.
to have to go back to this Airbnb and cook. And I don't know, Airbnbs freak me out a little bit, especially when I'm staying by myself. That's all well and good, but who wants to go and have to cook for 6 hours
When you get there.
when I get there?
Yeah, no.
we ain't doing all that. So got to figure it out. But it's one of those things where, like I was telling Shauna, my trainer, I'm like, there's not an option. Like, I've waded into the water, right? Like the Bible. I've waded into the middle of the water. And there's like, either you continue going or you go back.
Right.
This trip is not going to make me go back,
No.
because number one, I've already paid for the show and the hotel and the spray tan and yada, yada, yada. So you can't get your money back. So that's a lost cause. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm not going to embarrass her.
Right.
There's going to be thousands of people there, you know, so many that I know that I'm inspiring. So if this little bit of travel and I don't know what to eat, I can't find food, is going to like totally ruin my health journey and totally ruin this, what kind of person am I? I'm gonna stand up here blowing smoke up your ass because I'd be a lie. That would be the worst thing I could ever do.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I need to figure this out. And when I told her, she was a little shocked. She's like, "You got all this figured out?" Yes, ma'am. We're going, and I'm eating.
And I'm eating
I'm
because
eating,
I'm not
I'm
about
eating
to be
exactly
hungry.
what you told me to eat. That's on my meal plan. The end.
Okay, so I need to talk to this lady about what I should be eating because I ate an egg roll today.
Your diet is something else.
One day it's really good. The next day it's like, I don't know, I might have ate a banana. I
Right.
might have.
Maybe.
I definitely drank tea.
Coffee.
And coffee.
Right.
Caffeine.
Staple.
All day.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I've been thinking for about a week now that I wanted to contact somebody and like build some kind of specific meal plan and actually follow it. I did for a long time just kind of what I thought was good, but I could never hit any kind of actual real fat loss until I started fasting. And I don't fast very well. I stop eating at like 9 o'clock at night, snacking. And
Right.
then I don't eat again until like 11 in the morning. And usually you eat grits and eggs when your eyes open.
Grits and eggs.
Grits and eggs.
a little bit of butter, a little bit of cheese, sprinkle some pepper.
Most definitely some hot sauce. And so now it's like, I don't know, I eat fruit. Fruit's the first thing I eat in the morning almost
Right.
every morning, and it's wonderful. And like I did lose some pretty significant fat actually, but at the same time I noticed like my energy levels dropped pretty significantly too.
Right.
Not like my mental fatigue because eating all the fruit and stuff caused me to not need as much coffee to get through the day. But then it was like the energy that you get from your proteins and your carbs, I didn't have it to go to the gym. That's why I quit going in the
Right,
mornings. Like
right,
I
right.
just didn't have it anymore. So now I'm kind of trying to find that balance and probably need somebody to tell me how to find it because at this
Absolutely.
point I haven't found it myself. I ate an
Absolutely.
egg roll today.
Shout out to Shauna Miller.
Yes.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get you hooked up. But that's just us. That's going to be the podcast, and we're going to go on random tangents. And we're this is probably going to be one of the only lives that we're going to do. Each podcast is going to be posted to our YouTube page, and we'll have it on Instagram and Facebook. And periodically, we'll jump on and do a live. But we want you guys to be able to kind of watch it at your leisure,
Yes.
and kind of if you hone in on something or something like pulls at your heartstrings, be like, yeah, I need to listen to that again. That's kind of the purpose. And, we're real people, so we have like real contact information. So you can always reach us on social media.
Yes.
My phone number is all over the internet, scarily enough.
Yes.
Scarily is not even a word.
Is that a word?
No.
You can make it a word.
It's our new word.
We're coining
Scarily enough. My
Scarily.
phone number is all over the internet. But yeah, we're real people. And so, we're not mental health therapists. We're not counselors, but we're here to kind of give, our experience. So we definitely would love to share it with you. It's a prequel to the book that I'm going to be writing about my life. And
You're writing a book?
I am.
Do you rest? You don't rest.
No, girl. No.
You don't rest.
No sleep for the weary.
When does the book start?
I got 2 chapters down. Yeah.
Excuse me.
2 chapters down.
Okay.
And it's not like one of those books where it's like at 3 years old, at 6 years old, at, whatever that song was. I can't remember the song. He told a story about being 8 years old and his dad dying, or I don't know.
Oh, okay. I do. I know what you're talking about.
If
now.
somebody knows, put it in the
Yes.
chat, because
Yes,
you know what I'm
exactly.
talking about.
Everybody
I think
knows.
it's a country song. And it's more based off just like emotion and feeling,
Okay.
Like, for a long time, I didn't give myself grace. And so one of the chapters in the book is about grace. And it's about what the term or word grace really is.
Mm-hmm.
And as a child or as a young adult, how I viewed grace as being. In church, it's always like, give grace, give grace. And it's like,
But what even is that?
but what is it? And why is nobody giving it to me?
Right.
Like, why is everybody ungraceful to me? And that's
Absolutely.
and so how I kind of dealt with that as an adult and going forward, and how my mindset is on the verbiage. So that's kind of how the book goes. So instead of having to go back through chapters to kind of find out what I was talking about, now each chapter is labeled a different word. And so
like
whatever
that.
word that resonates with you, you can go back and read it and see if it kind of helps you.
That's awesome.
I got to do something with the other
proud of you.
part of the 24 hours. I don't know how much is left because I ain't getting 8 hours of sleep. So, I don't know. There's maybe a few hours left.
And I'm going to spend 2 of it writing a book.
Absolutely.
What in the world?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you don't have dark circles.
Not yet. It's all the
Not yet.
collagen.
Yes, exactly.
Eat your collagen, y'all.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm very excited about the book. That's interesting. I've been told many times that I should write a book about my life and the things that I went through and just kind of how to get over it, but I'm not one for writing. I'm also not one for reading books. I've read three books that aren't a school textbook.
Right.
And they were all that Girl Wash Your Face series. So you're kind of falling into that same idea of self-help. But that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
It's going to take some time. I got other stuff I'm supposed to be doing right now, but
No kidding.
just keep adding it on. Have a to-do list. So it's like once you knock one thing off the to-do list, you have something else. And so I'm constantly staying busy and keeping busy. But we can't wait to hear from you guys.
Yes.
We're going to answer as many comments and questions and whatever as much as we can. Like I said, if you have individual questions, you can always reach out to us. It's kat_Jankowski_LMT. And what's your social media?
Haha Hannah Brooke on Instagram.
Perfect.
Yes.
So yeah, we both have journeys going on. Definitely all my social media is about my journey. And so we're kind of excited to start this new journey.
Yes. This is very exciting for both of us. Kind of getting out of our comfort zones a little bit too, talking about important things and learning about each other too, because a lot of people don't know that, Kat and I are related, but we didn't come into each other's lives from the start. It was very much later in life. I think I was 17 when you reached out to me the first time. So it's been a few years now at this point, but there's still so much to learn about each other and what we went through in younger times and kind of what shaped us to be who we are. So I look forward to learning a little bit more as we go.
And as we're healing, talking about our story, hopefully you guys are healing too. So
Yes.
Stay tuned. We're going to post our podcast schedule. We'll always let you know when a new podcast drops. And we hope to see y'all soon.